Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is Martial Monday, and we're going to be talking about another fighting style. We don't have too many of
Indeed.
these left, but
We're working through them real fast. We're gonna find
yeah, we
other
are.
things to do for Martial Monday.
Yeah, all right, we will. Don't worry.
For sure.
Um, today we're talking about the fighting style superior technique.
Hello!
Nice.
Got him.
That's that's going to be like my ringtone now.
Excellent. Can't wait. So superior technique is not complicated. It is very short in words. Superior technique says that's not true. It's not very short in words. I was looking at protection, and that's very short in words. It's lengthy comparatively.
Yeah,
You
and
learn
this
a
is
maneuver.
complicated.
Yeah, you learn a maneuver of your choice from among those available in the Battle Master archetype, which is the fighter subclass, which should have been the fighter base class, but we'll cover that later. If a maneuver you use requires your target to make a saving throw to resist the maneuver's effect, the DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength or dex mod, your choice. You additionally gain a superiority die. You gain a superiority die, which is a d6. This die is added to any superior dice you have from another source. So if you're a Battlemaster fighter, you get an extra d6. This die is used to fuel your maneuvers. A superior die is expended when you use it. You regain your expended dice whenever you finish a short or long rest. Neat. So, what are these legendary maneuvers? What do they do? The answer is a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
I wrote recently about the Battlemaster subclass and had to go through like all of them, and I organized them out kind of to sort of get the gist of what their general groupings do. So there's basically 4 categories. There's skills. So skill maneuvers empower out of combat or pre-combat skill checks. So ambush, for example, is your stealth skill boost. It gives you or initiative rolls. You can add a superiority die whenever you sneak or whenever you're doing the initiative thing. You got commanding presence, which is a bonus to charisma, performance, persuasion, or intimidation checks. Those are all fine. I don't rate them very highly. I think if you're a Battlemaster fighter, they're pretty reasonable. I think if you're taking this option, you need to take one that is really, really high impact because you get 1 per short rest. Normally, this is a precursor to the Battlemaster fighter. Normally, if you're taking this fighting style, because this is a fighter exclusive, you're taking it specifically with the intention of taking Battlemaster fighter and expanding down or up from there. If you're only taking this with no intention of going into this, though, and you just want the fighting style for a cool trick, the skill ones are kind of mediocre. You got tactical assessment, commanding presence, and ambush. A bonus to a skill check once per short rest is just not that high impact for it to be your entire fighting style. There are some defensive ones. Bait and switch, evasive footwork, and parry are the 3 that I've got noted. Evasive footwork lets you add your AC whenever you're during a movement, which is kind of niche and not that great. Bait and switch lets you swap spots with an ally, which is super cool. It's neat. I don't know if it's that good, but you are the swapped creature, get a bunch of AC, which is cool. You also have parry, which is, I think, reaction to when another creature damages you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage by the die plus your dex mod. Again, you're probably not looking for that weak of a single instance effect per short rest to justify it being your fighting style, right? We got 2 more of these. There's 3 more basic broad categories. So there's allied support. These are Commander Strike and Rally are the basic ones that do this. Rally lets you, on your turn, bonus action to give somebody temporary hit points. That's probably not worth it, but there is also Commander or Commanding Presence or Commanding Strike or something. Commander Strike is whenever you take the attack action, you can forego one of yours to give someone else an attack. And it's a really high cost. But if you have a rogue of the group that's killing everyone, maybe you take this. That could be a way to be like, I want to be a support fighter for this rogue. I want this rogue to kill everything, and I want to just be around while it happens. That's a way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
I think
Not
that's
really
one
a
of the
fighter, then, are you?
Not really. You're just like once per short rest, you get to attack again, rogue. Neat. The one that's really impactful, I think, is the extra attack category. So this gives you opportunities to make more attacks. So brace is, despite it sounding defensive, brace is whenever a creature moves within your reach, you can use your reaction to make an attack roll with a superiority die added to the weapon, to the hit. I'm sorry, not to the hit, to the damage. So like something comes within range, you get a free stab at it. And that's pretty excellent, unless you're going for the Sentinel polearm master down the road, in which case it becomes it becomes extra. You already can do that with Polearm Master, so
don't
don't do
get
that
to
if
do
you're
it
going that
again.
direction. And then finally, the one that I think is probably the one I consider the most is Quick Toss. Quick Toss lets you do a thing. As a bonus action, you can spend a superiority dice and make a ranged attack with a thrown weapon. You can draw the weapon as part of making the attack. So basically, you can attack as regular and then draw and throw a weapon for free. And that's really excellent, just getting a bonus action attack once per short rest. It's pretty fine. It's probably the best of the options. The rest of them are like attack enhancing, so like you knock something prone, or you do 1 damage to one thing and slightly more to it, or slightly less to another. Like, they're pretty mediocre. That's the gist of all of what the fighting options do. All of the superiority dice attacks do. Fundamentally, none of that is enough, I don't think, even at their absolute best, to justify it being your entire fighting style.
All right.
If you're not doing the battle master thing, I think.
All right. Well, I was going to bring that up. What do you think about a battle master taking this feat just for an additional fighting style and superiority die?
So for taking this as your fighting style as a battle master, I think is a lot more interesting. I think it gives you an additional known technique, so you get an extra known option for your pool of dice. Battle masters already get a decent quantity of dice, though, and
what do they get?
So I'm pulling it up as we speak.
They get
Battle
3
masters,
maneuvers, but
Battle Master 5e. They get scaling throughout the game, I know. You finding there's so many windows I get to go through for this specific stupid
yeah
fighting style. It's crazy. So when you pick it at their level, you learn maneuvers that are fueled by dice. You get 4 dice, which is a lot, and they're d8s, which are bigger than this. That's kind of important. I don't believe so. It doesn't. I didn't read anywhere in the spell or in the fighting style description that superior technique improves the dice to the size that they have. I think you get like a dinky d6, and then you have the d8s that scale. I could be wrong.
They could have given you d8 for this.
They could have, especially given like most people don't want this, but as a battle master, you might consider it if you really like. I think this is a fighting style you take not because it's good. I think this is a fighting style you take because you like the mechanics of battle master. You like feeling like a trickstery, combat prowess. I'm making up words. A fighter that's really good at dirty fighting. They like the tripping techniques. They like the disarming enemy combatants. They like pulling out a dagger from their boot and throwing it across the room unseen, right? They like the quick-witted, thinking, fast on their feet kind of scruffy fighter kind of look to it, which is what Battle Master often feels like. And if you want to just do more of that, this is probably what happens. This is probably what
you get 1 more known maneuver, but you also get that extra die, even if it's a little dinky one. But yeah, it's just something. When do these recharge? On a short or long rest? Short rest?
Yeah, you feel like you have a lot of these.
Yeah.
A lot of Battle Masters you will regularly find, even in the once per long rest encounters, because you just dump them all in the single fight that happens once per long rest, doesn't feel that bad, because you just have a ton of them. You just have 4 of these lying around, and in the worst case scenario, you're still just a regular vanilla fighter, right? And if you are doing like 2 or 3 fights per long rest, if you get a single short rest in there, you still feel like you have a ton of these. So because you start with 4, and because you get more as you level up at exact moments, I don't remember specifically. Maybe not.
Yeah,
you
I
get
think
Relentless
you do.
down the road, but which I don't advocate going for to get Relentless, but you get an extra superior dice at 7th level and 15th level, so eventually you'll get a 5th and 6th dice. You feel like you have a lot of these lying around. I don't know if you need an extra one. I would almost always rather just have all of the attacks I'm making with them be slightly better. If you really want more of them, fine. I often think that like your learned maneuvers, you know the ones that you care about, and you don't really care to get more. So like I take Quick Toss pretty regularly, and that's the one I'm using most because it's a bonus action attack, and it's great, especially whenever you're adding other things to it.
On any character or a specific?
If I'm a melee ranged fighter, I'm basically always taking it. If I'm an archer, less so. But like because I'm so readily using that spirit dice, I find that the known quantity I have matters less. Sometimes I'll sneak in like a skill one because that's cute to have and it's a way to interface out of combat, which is useful. I wish they were a little bit better. Sometimes I'll sneak in a defensive one because, maybe you do need a bunch of AC and the bait and switch is a cute way to defend the paladin when they're at 3 or whatever. But for the most part, like you have 1 or 2 that you're doing a lot. The 1 or 2 that are adding the damage, that are applying the condition, that are knocking things prone or disarming them or whatever. You're doing 1 or 2 a lot. And then the other ones are just kind of like these flexible niche nice to haves. You don't really need a ton known. And because you learn them at every subclass level, like I don't know if 1 extra is making that much of a difference over what you're losing for it.
So I mean, there are so many maneuvers. I was going to ask you a generic question like, what other classes is superior? What is it called? Superior technique good for? But I have to think that it really depends on. I mean, it could be anybody.
So I believe superior
depending on what
technique
they want to do.
I believe superior technique is exclusive to fighter. I don't think ranger or
Oh,
paladin.
you know
get
what?
it.
I keep forgetting this is a fighting style.
Not a
Never mind.
feat.
Not a feat. Yeah.
Yep. So this is
All right.
only
Well,
on
then,
fighters.
yeah. All right. So, all right. Well, same question. What other fighter subclasses then?
None of them. Like I don't really see. I don't see this anywhere outside of the Battlemaster. I think most of the other subclasses really care about making attack rolls in one way, shape, or form. Turns out the class named Fighter likes to fight, and that means you're going to be taking it to the same action a lot. If you're doing the sword and board thing, one sword and a shield, if you're doing a longbow thing, if you're doing two-weapon fighting things with 2 daggers or 2 short swords or whatever, you really want to have the fighting style that cares about whatever you're doing, because that's going to empower every single attack you make, or at least every attack action you take on a given round. Even the protecture stuff, even the stuff that isn't necessarily amazing, but we find ways to make decent by having party compositions that specifically match it, or by trying to really like hammer it into a specific fantasy. Being able to readily use something round after round after round after round is the core concept of what a fighting style does. The reason I tend to be so down on the druidic, the cantrip ones that the paladin ranger get, that's not empowering what you're doing every single round. It's giving you some expanded tools, but it's at a really steep cost of not having a better combat. That is a cost that isn't made up for even a little bit here. I think 1 maneuver and 1 maneuver die is way worse than 2 or 3 cantrips. Or I guess it's just 2 cantrips, but like by a lot. And that's all you get here. Once per short rest, with something that's I don't think as good as a cantrip, that does not justify it making onto any sheet, I don't think. Even the sheet that is doing the Battlemaster thing that wants as many dice as possible, I just don't. I don't think giving up any of the other options you have is worth it. There's no subclass that's excused by. I don't think any of the subclasses say like, oh, on Purple Dragon Knight specifically, because you're doing a bunch of supportive things anyway, I want another supportive thing. I mean, you would just take interception or protection for that, right?
Yeah, I was gonna go back to my original question with other classes, but yeah, I remember what I was talking about was actually the martial adept feat, and that gives you some maneuvers, but it doesn't give you superior technique, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So save that for the martial adept.
Well, I mean, it does do a similar thing. We could briefly touch on and just say, like, if you want as many maneuvers as humanly possible, you could just say, I'm playing a Battlemaster fighter, I'm taking superior technique, I'm taking martial adept, and I'm just going to have this giant pool of dice that I'm spamming out like crazy. I'm just firing every single maneuver I possibly can as often as possible with as robust a list of the maneuvers as I can get. That is something that you could do. Martial adept and superior technique go on that sheet. It's probably not the best way to do it, but it's a thing you can do, right? If you want to have as many dice as humanly possible, that's a way to do it.
All right. I don't know. This I haven't played a fighter in so long that I don't think I've ever played a 5e fighter. So I don't have a lot of experience with any of this.
That's fair. I really wish, and I think there was a playtest version where martial maneuvers were core to the fighter, if I remember correctly. I could be misremembering. And in that world, I would have loved to seen maneuvers just be a thing all the fighter gets, and subclasses get their own little cool versions of them, right? Like the Eldritch Knight can get some magical maneuvers that can do cantripy stuff, and you can have Samurai getting, cool little Master of Blade samurai stuff. That could be sweet. You could get all of the specific subclasses showcasing different new cool options with this mechanic. They didn't, though. They were like, well, what if people get confused? Let's make champion the face of fighter, because we don't want new players to have a good time. And then Battlemaster will be an option that looks more complicated than it is and has a bunch of fluff around some pretty mediocre features outside of the maneuvers. And the maneuvers are the core cool thing about it, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super impressed with most of these maneuvers. Looking over them.
When you get to use them 4 to 5 times per short rest, they feel pretty good.
Yeah.
When you get once, nah, not for your fighting style.
Yeah, I guess that makes a huge difference if it's something you can rely on. But yeah, that's the mindset I'm looking at it. Like, using this once, no, thank you.
Yeah,
but
like once per short rest, extra attack is not worth your fighting style. It just isn't, and I think that's the best option of the bunch. So again, maybe you are playing the character that says once per short rest, my rogue gets to attack twice. If that's the way you want to go. Because that's pretty powerful.
It is not. I want to be the rogue playing with that guy, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's that. You got a rating for this one?
I really think it's a 1. I really think it's unusable trash. I don't think a single fighter. I don't even think Battlemasters want this. You would much rather have something that's a power. You would much rather have archery, much rather have dueling. And I know it's heresy, but you much rather have great weapon fighting. You much rather have 2-weapon fighting. Anything that empowers your attacks regularly, you would much rather have over this. I think I would take this over defense, because I think defense is boring, and this isn't boring. But for the vast majority of cases, I'm taking all of the other fighting styles that empower my character over this.
Ooh, I cannot give this a 1. There are just so many options. Especially, not especially, but I think a Battlemaster who really likes the maneuvers or really has a plan for how to use them can benefit from having one more maneuver and one more die.
I think they would benefit so much more from just having +2 to hit on all the ranged attacks.
Probably. But yeah, I'm going to mitigate some of the comments here.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be people that like this, people that take it, and I'm going to give it a 2. It's not. I don't think it's great or even very good. But that's what I'm giving it.
This is the rare case where I think I might be putting this at a 1 when it's actually a 2, but it's close. And I don't really care enough to think about it that much harder.
That's fair. I don't either. All right, that was Superior Technique. Thank you, Sam, and thank you all for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments. What are your favorite maneuvers? What do you take Superior Technique? Let us know why. Let us know how. And that's that. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.